The little girl didn't scream when she found it. She simply stared into the darkness inside the ancient hollow tree, then turned around and whispered 5 words that would haunt an entire town. "There's someone looking at me." But when police searched the tree only minutes later, there was no one inside. At least, that's what they thought. Because hidden deeper than anyone imagined was a secret that had survived for almost 3 years. And the closer investigators came to the truth, the more impossible the case became. 29-year-old Emma Carter wasn't the kind of person who disappeared without warning. She never missed work. She called her mother every evening at exactly 7. She even left handwritten reminders on her refrigerator for things she planned to do the next morning. Then one rainy Tuesday, Emma's phone stopped moving. Her car remained parked outside her apartment. Her coffee was still warm on the kitchen counter, but Emma herself had vanished without taking her purse, jacket, or keys. It looked less like someone had left, and more like someone had interrupted her life in the middle of it. Investigators searched nearby woods for weeks. Nothing. No footprints. No witnesses. No body. Eventually the case grew cold, until one ordinary afternoon changed everything. 3 years later, children playing hide-and-seek wandered into the oldest part of Blackwood Forest. Everyone avoided one enormous oak. Its trunk was hollow, blackened by lightning decades earlier. Locals called it the empty giant. But that afternoon, it wasn't empty. The youngest child peeked inside and suddenly backed away in silence. She refused to speak for nearly an hour. When officers finally inspected the tree, they noticed something strange. The hollow wasn't naturally shaped. Someone had widened it. Recently, fresh tool marks scarred the inside of wood that should have been weathered by time. Then, an investigator shined his flashlight farther down. The beam reflected off something white. Not bark. Not stone. Bone. And suddenly, Emma Carter's missing person case became a homicide investigation. Detectives expected animals or weather to destroy evidence after 3 years. Instead, the hollow tree had acted like a vault. Personal belongings lay exactly where they had been placed. Emma's necklace, her broken watch, a single hiking boot. Most disturbing of all, there was no sign she had ever planned to visit the forest. So how had she ended up inside a tree nearly 8 miles from home? Then forensic teams uncovered an even stranger clue. Tiny blue paint flakes. Not on Emma. On the inside walls of the hollow trunk. Paint that had no business being there. Unless something blue had been hidden inside before. Police began reviewing every volunteer who had helped search for Emma years earlier. One name appeared repeatedly. Daniel Mercer. Friendly. Reliable. Always first to organize search parties. Always offering food to exhausted officers. Everyone described him as the perfect neighbor. Yet investigators noticed something odd. Daniel had insisted multiple times that volunteers stay away from Blackwood Forest because it was too dangerous. No one questioned him then. Now they wondered why. A warrant uncovered blue industrial paint inside Daniel's workshop. The exact same paint found inside the hollow tree. Still, paint alone wasn't enough. Then detectives opened an old toolbox. Hidden beneath rusted equipment sat a folded forest map. Only one location had been circled. The ancient oak. Daniel claimed he'd marked the tree because lightning had weakened it years earlier. It sounded believable, until investigators compared satellite photos. The hollow opening visible today didn't exist before Emma disappeared. Someone had enlarged it afterward, then carefully concealed the entrance with branches and moss. Whoever did it knew search teams would walk right past without noticing. But one final mistake destroyed the entire illusion. Forensic analysts examined microscopic sawdust trapped beneath old bark. The wood fibers matched a chainsaw recovered from Daniel's shed. Even more damaging, Emma's DNA was found inside its protective cover. The evidence no longer pointed toward coincidence. It pointed toward preparation. Faced with overwhelming forensic evidence, Daniel finally admitted he had hidden Emma inside the ancient oak, believing no one would ever think to search inside something that had stood untouched for centuries. He had counted on time. He had counted on nature. Most of all, He had counted on people looking around the tree instead of inside it. He was wrong, because 3 years later, one curious child asked the question every adult had forgotten to ask. What's inside? Sometimes the greatest horrors aren't buried underground. They stand in plain sight, waiting for someone brave enough to look into the darkness. If this story reminds us of anything, it's that the smallest moments of curiosity can uncover the biggest truths, and that even when a case seems forgotten, the truth has a way of finding daylight.